What's going on, folks? Welcome to Exit Strategy. I got a question for you. Would you ever admit to being a little superstitious? Or maybe you're like Michael Scott from The Office. Maybe you're not superstitious, but maybe you're a little stitious. uh, we're going to talk about that tonight. And I'm not going to be before you very long because I'm in the middle of a crazy, crazy travel week. But I wanted to pop on real quick just to share some thoughts and hear some thoughts from you all. So I'll see if you got anybody popping into the chat. What's up? Hey, Eddie, good to see you. What's going on? Hope all is well with you. Yeah, I got some thoughts I just want to share. Been having some great conversations. What's happening? What's happening, folks? And I want to hear from, no Christians tonight. This is Exit Strategy. So the conversations with Christians might lead to Exit Strategy, but they're not going to be on the same episode. Saran says, I got your book. Okay. BRP. What is BRP? I'm not sure what that means. Josh says, surprise notifications. Well, here's the deal. Whether I post early or not, I'm going to always try to keep the Exit Strategy dates on Thursdays. Exit Strategy used to be on Tuesday at 8 p.m., but we switched it to Thursday. And I'm going to try to always keep those. As a matter of fact, just so you all know, I was this close to canceling tonight. I had actually typed up a message in the YouTube community and had my thumb hovering over posting no show tonight. I don't think I've ever canceled an Exit Strategy, ever. I've always come on when it was on Tuesdays, and since we moved it to Thursdays. But I had a crazy, crazy travel week. I just got back from Vegas and then drove up to North Jersey, just got back from North Jersey, and then heading to upstate New York tomorrow. And then right after upstate New York, headed to Houston. So I'm so tired. You could probably see it in my eyes. I was this close to canceling, but I said, nope. You committed to doing these Exit Strategy shows. And I know that you all would have been gracious, would have understood. There would have been no issues. But I decided I was going to pop on. So I set everything up just to come on real quick. You said, oh, wow. At first, I thought you were Mr. Biscuit Lamont because his real name is LaBiscuit. But his real name is Lamont. Mr. Biscuit's real name, I meant. But Lamont also says, hey, Mr. Biscuit showed up on the Deconstruction Zone a couple of days ago. Really? I got to find out what episode. Do you know what date that was? Because I would love to go catch it. How did the conversation go? Was it cordial? Did it get anywhere? And if you can tell me the date, please let me know, because I definitely want to go back and see how that went. But I'm glad he called up there. Some of the folks that I've had on the show, I am in ongoing conversation. And so 8:26, around the 21-minute mark. Let me take a screenshot of that so that I can make sure I get back to that. Okay, appreciate that. Matter of fact, we should all go watch it now. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull it up, and we can. Y'all want to live react to the Mr. Biscuit on Deconstruction Zone? That would be fun. How can I do that? Can I share a YouTube and y'all hear it? I probably would have to download it. Let me download it and put it in my. And if you already have the link, you can just put the link in the chat. That'll save me some time. Otherwise, I got to go find it. But 8:26, I'm going to go do that. And if you put it in the chat before I get to it, I will. I'll just get it from you. But I wanted to talk about some of the episodes I've done with Christians lately. I want to get some feedback from you all 8:26. Okay, I got it. Let me put it in my app. I got the link, so you don't have to worry about going to get it. I'm putting it in my app right now. All right, so it's downloading. We'll see. Let me hear from you all. I had a few people say they really do appreciate the way these Conversations with Christians episodes have been going. And then I had a few people say, nah, like I can't watch this. And the reason why some people are saying they can't watch it is because I don't know how to say it. Matter of fact, let me just read. I'll read. Josh by Plant says, the Conversations with Christians are fun and frustrating. Story of my life. What's up, my unique Monique? Let me go to see some of the comments real quick, because I read a few of them that I really, really liked, but they also got me thinking. I think I'm going to go from last Tuesday nights with
coverage is sabotaging your hair.
Tuesday nights with Alexander Twyman. One comment just said, I really appreciate him coming on, so I don't want to come across as harsh. And then they had a critique. And I know everybody's struggling with, man, I really like these guests. Everybody's cordial. Everybody's nice. Everyone is, nobody's screaming or disrespecting anybody. But at the same time, it's almost like, what am I watching here? And there's one comment I want to get to. Truxton's comment. I love this comment. I'm actually going to post this comment on my Facebook and have a discussion about it next week. Truxton says, the amount of energy expended to do the mental gymnastics to make the text work for their presuppositions is amazing. Then he says this, you can see the cognitives dissonating in real time. And I almost fell out when I read that comment, because I've never even thought about conjugating that phrase that way. He said, I can see the cognitives dissonating in real time. And so it's almost like, you're talking about something and you can see someone is having to think on their feet. And I've been in that situation before where somebody's presented me with something that I hadn't thought about. And I don't know whether I want to save face in the moment. I don't know if I want to cop to being wrong in the moment. I want to buy myself some time to think about it and come back later. But at the same time, that you're representing for an entire group of people. I remember back when I was in high school, when I first became a Christian, there was a girl named Tanisha. I wish I could find this girl named Tanisha. We used to argue. So when I got saved in 11th grade, me and my guy, Tony Bruno, we had just met. We had both just gotten saved. And we started a Bible study in the high school. And we used to go around the lunchroom trying to recruit people to come to the lunchtime Bible study. And this one chick named Tanisha, we used to have these loud, knock them down, drag them out arguments in the lunchroom about, because she was atheist and I was a Christian, and we used to go at it. And I know, I can't remember any of the issues, but I remember feeling in those days like she had said something that I hadn't thought about, but I had to have an answer. And I probably said some bullshit to her back in those days because I just wanted to have an answer. But I know that feeling of, I can't not answer this question. So Truxton's comment said, I could see the cognitives dissonating in real time. And one of the reasons why I don't like these conversations with Christians personally is because this is a real person. And I want people to have what I had. I had room, I had space to deconstruct slowly. There was no camera on me. I mean, it took me years. So like when I first had that moment where my faith, the foundation of my faith cracked in seminary back in 2014. And I felt it. It was almost like I knew this is the beginning of the end. It was in an instant. If you had put a camera on me at that moment and asked me to defend my faith, I don't know what I would have done or said. And that's not to say that I beat anybody in any of these conversations, because it's not about winning. But I'm just saying, if I ask someone a question and they don't have an answer right on the spot, I want people to have time to go back, do their research, come back and say, well, here's how I would answer that now, even though I didn't have an answer then. But I don't want anyone to be embarrassed, to feel embarrassed, or to think that that's the goal. Nor do I want anybody, and there were a few comments, and I'm not mad at anybody. I don't want anybody in the comments saying, oh, the Christian won or the atheist won. It's not about winning, because, you know, had he had a conversation with somebody else, maybe, you know, that person would have had a better argument. Maybe he would have had a better argument. It's like they say with football, right? Any given Sunday, you don't know who's going to, quote unquote, win. I just say all that to say, I don't like feeling like I got you. But I do celebrate the moments where somebody sees, oh, this is a contradiction. I'm going to have to think about that. I love those moments, because that's where growth happens. Whether you go and get stronger in your faith, or you realize your faith is not as strong as you thought. So anyway, the Deconstruction Zone video is 61% downloaded. It's such a long file. You know, he does his episodes are like 6-7 hours. So it's a long file. It's 63% downloaded. Once we get the Deconstruction Zone downloaded, if you just popped in and don't know what I'm doing, somebody, Lamont in the chat, said that Mr. Biscuit was on Deconstruction Zone and they had a conversation. So as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Justin from Deconstruction Zone, he DM'd me on Facebook maybe like a month ago, reacting to the conversation that I had with Mr. Biscuit. So he was like, yo, that conversation you had with Mr. Biscuit, like, that was a wild one. And it was very similar to a conversation that he had with somebody who was kind of a mystic. So I would love to see how their conversation went. And yeah, we'll see. That'll be interesting. Let me go back to the chat and see what y'all are saying. All right, I don't see anything I need to pay special attention to, but let me know. Mo Wheat says the abstract super made up their own religion. Christians are super annoying. I believe all these gods are made up, but the new philosopher God constructs are really hard to listen to for me. Yeah, I hear you. Oh, that's a question I wanted to ask you guys. The first Christian that we had on was Mr. Biscuit, who was more of a mystic and idealist than a Christian. Then we had Timotheus Pope, who was a Bible-believing Christian, but also was like, no, contradictions are a good thing, which was sort of weird. And then we had some other Christians who may have been deconstructing. And then finally this week, we got to some fundamentalist Christians. So I'm curious, which was more frustrating for you all? The mystic kind of Christians, the ones who allow for contradictions in the Bible, or the fundamentalist Christians? Which was more frustrating for you all to see me have a conversation with? Tell me what you think about that. And I'm trying to answer for myself. I don't. My unique Monique said, all of them in all caps. Hammers Over Strikers says, mystics more frustrating by far. But then Hey Eddie says, no, fundamentalist. It's weird, isn't it? It's weird. But here's the question that I want all of, like this. David DeVoe said, everyone except Pope. Like Pope, there was something about Pope that just was like so endearing. And he and I, we're still going back and forth in our in the DM. So none of these conversations with any of these people have ended. My life, y'all, it's a non-ending, ongoing conversation with so many people. And so, I mean, I do pull away and I get to live my life and have my fun. But when I'm engaged, it's ongoing, ongoing. JD Miss, thank you, says Mr. Biscuit is at 25 minutes in. Let me see where our download is at. 94%, y'all. 94%. So we'll get to it. And did they go for pretty long? Hey, Eddie says, now that you say that, Brady, absolutely. It's the more fundamental ones that I cannot handle. Yeah, like why? See, it's weird because with the mystics, it's almost like it's hard to nail them down because they're allowing the text to go everywhere and do everything. So it's almost like, well, I can't even charge you with the contradiction because you like that kind of stuff. The fundamentalist is frustrating because I can present you with contradictions if you would ever see them, but you just won't see them. You're going to, are they both engaging in gymnastics and acrobatics, or is the mystic just kind of like, translucent and see-through and just, you can't really, whereas the fundamentalist is doing the backflips and somersaults on you. I don't know how to parse it. Do I need I do need headphones. Do I have headphones? Let me see if this one is charged. Oh, I got my headphones right here. Nope, I took them out. All right, let me see if this one is charged. Nope, it's dead. All right, I'll use these. Solomon says one's doing parkour, the other's doing gymnastics. And if you've been on this show as a guest and you're like, hey, they're talking about me, we're just having fun. We're just having fun. All right, we should be all downloaded now. Oh, now it's got to convert. Dang. We're deconverting, folks. Why are you converting? The file's got to convert. Now it's at 41% converted. Okay, we'll get to it in a second. Hey, Eddie says, it sounds crazy, but if you look at theologians' throat history, you just put my mind in a whole other place. if you look at oh, okay. He says no, not throat. Throughout. Okay, that makes more sense. If you look at theologians throughout history before Luther, there was variation among beliefs. Got you. Yeah. And I mean, there's variation among beliefs today, so that's not new. But here's the other question that I would love to ask some of these people coming on the show. Doesn't the variation among you all tell you something about your belief system? The very fact that you can have so many different variations among you all, what does that tell you? Like the New Testament writers, like they're writing because they're trying to correct erroneous beliefs and erroneous practices. And the early churches, well, that person's a heretic, and they're beefing with these. This is the entire Christian faith. So a lot of times we like to blame Martin Luther, like, oh, once he nailed the 52 Theses to the Catholic, to the Church of the Catholic, to the door of the Catholic Church, that caused all the splintering. But no, even the Roman Catholic Church was not the only church. You had the Western Church and you had the Eastern Church. There's always been, to me, which is the mark of its humanity, the fact that you've got people disagreeing and no Holy Spirit coming to bring them together and say, what did Jesus supposedly pray? Father, I pray that they would be one like you and I are one. Unless you're going to tell me that Jesus and the Father are sitting around the throne arguing theology. Okay, we're good to go. Let me pull it into the desktop, and we'll check out Mr. Biscuit on Deconstruction Zone. And like I said, I wonder to what degree many religious people, if they had to compare what they're doing to superstition, I'm not trying to be an asshole. Like, religion is superstition. Religion, and I posted this on Facebook a couple months ago. Some people got mad at me, but claiming to be religious, and I know many Christians say it's not religion, it's a relationship. But your religion, being religious, all you're saying is, I'm really good at superstition. Because with superstition, the rules change from day to day. I did this, and when I'll go places with my dad, right? Even to this day, when I was a kid, it used to be funny. Now it's just like, man, you still doing this. We would walk somewhere, and if I go around a pole and he goes in the side of the pole, he would make me go back. He would, don't split that pole, and I'd have to go back around the pole and not split the pole when I'm walking with him. That's superstition. But the superstitious person is hardly going to try to tell you what will happen if you split the pole. And if you do split the pole and something bad begins to happen, how do you correct it? Superstition is not really going to be codified. You kind of make the rules up as you go. Religion is superstition with just better rules. People have sat down to figure out the rules of the superstition. That's all religion is. And so when I talk to the Christian who's defending the Bible, all you're really doing is you're defending the rules of your superstition. And when I was talking to this past Monday with Josh Kreese, he said he tried to compare me to Cypher in the Matrix, like the dude who got out and then went back in. I said, no, I feel like Neo. I see the Matrix. And I think about the scene where Neo finally got it and he's fighting the agent, and the agent is throwing all these crazy haymakers at him. And Neo was just like looking the other way, just blocking all his punches. Like, that's how I feel when I talk to the religious person. I don't care how well trained you are in your theology. I'm just sitting here, you're going through all your theological jargon and all your gymnastics and parkour, and I'm just like, everything you're saying is so easily debunkable. I don't even have to pay much attention to this because it's superstition. And you just got more codified rules than the next person with their superstition. So that being the case, I'm gonna go ahead and bring Deconstruction Zone and Mr. Biscuit in. So we're going to get this from the desktop. Live debate. All right.
Okay, now hopefully.
Now, somebody said it was 20 minutes in. Somebody else said it was about 25 minutes in. Y'all, we're going to find out.
That we've had up here claiming to be like the new Jesus or the resurrected Jesus. And it's always a hoot. Always a hoot. All right, we're going to get the layman in here. Layman's been waiting in our YouTube queue for a little bit. How you doing, Layman?
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yep, that's Mr. Biscuit. We know his voice, don't we? All right, so let's see how it goes.
Hey, how are you today?
Doing good. How are you?
Hey, I'm hanging in there.
Cool.
So
Layman, are you at least?
Can I just be a little honest with you guys? Whenever a person of color, a black person, calls into, I don't care whether it's Dillahunty or Justin's show, Deconstruction Zone, I'm always like, please don't embarrass us. But I don't think Mr. Biscuit's about to embarrass us as black folk or himself at all. So let's see. 18,
and do you believe in some kind of a God?
I am way beyond 18. I'm a senior citizen in my family. We don't live very long. Got bad genes.
Hmm.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh, it's all good. But yeah, I believe in God.
Cool. And any particular God?
No, I believe that most religions believe in something fundamentally.
This is already interesting because when we talked to Mr. Biscuit here, he came on as a Christian. Justin just asked him any particular God. His response was no. So I'd like to see how he. This is about to be interesting, y'all. Let's see how this goes.
Similar and superficially different. So
Okay.
He said, I believe all religions believe in something that's superficially different, but fundamentally the same. I need to get off here because I can't get all my timestamps. I need to.
We're taken back to
Hold on.
those moments.
Sorry, let me get out of this version because how do I get to the smaller one?
Where we were feeling some of the same things. And
Okay, sorry, I had to change the way I was looking at it because I couldn't do the timestamps like that. Oh, I can't. Damn, I can't jump around like I want to because it's not giving me a very. Sorry, hold on, y'all. Let me make it bigger to see if I can get in between these timestamps because otherwise, nope. I can't get to the timestamps. All right, so I can't keep stopping them. Well, I can keep stopping them. I just can't. I won't be able to go back. So I got to keep that in mind.
Team. I'm a senior citizen in my family. We don't live very long. Got bad genes.
So yeah, I had to take it back. I'm gonna when I do stop it, I'll just pause it. I won't be rewinding it. I'm just talking now because we already heard this part. So.
Different. So
okay. Do you believe in just one God or multiple gods or
just one? Because there would have to be some kind of differentiating factor, which I'm not. I think that would become problematic if I tried to imagine it.
do you believe in spirits?
I do.
Okay. Do you think spirits are created or eternal?
I don't think we ever talked about spirits with Mr. Biscuit. That's interesting.
That's a good question. I think that there's one eternal spirit, and then there's other spirits that kind of are emergent from that fundamental spirit.
So created or eternal?
Both. So there's one eternal spirit, and then there's multiple created spirits or emergent.
Well, eternally emergent or created emergent?
What's the distinction there?
If it's created emergent, that means it came into being at a specific point in time. If it's eternal, it just means it's eternally coming from the nature of the spirit.
I think it would be according to time, according to you and I, but I don't believe that time is fundamental either, time or space.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, did the spirits always exist?
Was there
ever a state in which the spirits did not exist and the God did exist?
Hey, Eddie says, where does he get his info? So I think he's from the philosophical school of thought of idealism. That's one of his founding principles. I don't know where else. I mean, he's always citing people that he's reading. So he may just be an amalgamation of anybody that comes close to something that he feels like he can grab and pull into his worldview.
Sure.
Okay, that means they're created. Cool. So what would be the most compelling evidence or argument for this like theistic God concept being true?
I think my inability to doubt it. I consider myself a skeptic. At least I try to. I mean, maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Well, my ability to doubt it then would be evidence that it's not true.
Or that we're doubting different things.
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Because my doubt encompasses all the theistic concepts.
So you believe in the affirmation of a universal negative? Can you substantiate that claim?
No, I said I doubt all of the theistic concepts.
Have you heard all of the theistic concepts? There are thousands of them.
All the ones I know of.
Okay, so no, that's fair. But you haven't heard of mine. You doubt it already?
I'm already doubtful of what you told me, so give me something else.
Yo, I love Justin's approach, yo. And this is not to say that he wouldn't be any more like I am, but when you have a faceless and oftentimes nameless guest on your show, you can care a little less about how upfront you're going to be with if you think you're hearing BS. If you're looking at a person and like you have proof in front of you that this is a real person, calling BS, yeah, maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm a punk. I'm a little more trepidatious about just calling BS, but I just love Justin's approach here.
Something else.
I mean-
I did want to interact with your prompt. Your God is imaginary.
Yeah, can you prove me wrong?
I don't know if I can prove you wrong, but I know that in psychological terms or in cognitive science terms, something imaginary is going to be some mental representation or scenario not present to the senses, or something that exists in the mind's image-making capacity. And that is not God for the majority of people who believe in God. You can't really make an image of God in your mind.
Now I know that a lot of y'all, when me and Mr. Biscuit were talking, it was very easy to get lost in his terminology. And I could imagine, even in the sentence that he just said, I was already thrown for a loop a little bit. So let's see how this goes.
Something you've never really experienced with your senses. So I can imagine an apple, namely because I've tasted them, I've held them, I've smelled them. I can dream about things that I've experienced on a day-to-day basis, but God would seem to be very resistant to that kind of categorization.
Oh, I can imagine it, God. Not even hard. I've been doing it like all my life.
What does he look like?
Well, which God? The immaterial God or the biblical God? Because the biblical God has hands, face, feet, so on and so forth. He looks just like a human.
The biblical God does?
Yeah.
Well, the biblical God, it says, I think the biblical God says, God is not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he should repent.
I didn't say
something
he
like that.
was a man.
Oh,
He looks like a man.
Oh, you mean he can take on the image of man? Yeah, of course. I believe that he's done that with.
Well, no, it's not he can take on the image of man. The Genesis chapter 1 says that he made man in his image. So
You and I believe that you and I are a part of the masks of God. That's emergence in my view.
So you believe in the Bible?
I do. That's one of the wisdom traditions
you're-
I pull from most often.
So you're a Christian?
I'm a Christian mystic. So I mean,
So I wonder if Ichabod helped push him towards owning being a Christian mystic, because in the beginning of this episode, he told Justin he doesn't believe in any one particular God. He just said the Christian tradition is the one I pull from most often, and then he identified himself as a Christian mystic. Interesting.
I believe in all of the mystic traditions. So that would be Sufism in Islam, definitely Buddhism, Hinduism. Like I said before, the majority of the
You
religions
believe
are
in
fundamentally
Islam
similar.
and the Bible?
Sure. Yeah. Sufism was the teachings of Ibn Arabi. So it would be different than the Islam that you're probably familiar with.
Okay, so not all Islam, just a very like specific type of Islam.
Yeah. Mysticism.
Okay, and do you think that the Quran is completely true?
Wolf Sinclair said it's all making sense now. Please say more. Tell me what you mean when you say it's all making sense now. Because Mr. Biscuit didn't give us all this information when he and I were talking. So if you're like, oh, this is explaining why he sounded the way he sounded, I think I get you.
Just partially true.
Unfortunately, I haven't read the entire Quran. I'm trying to memorize all of the names of Allah right now as a study. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of wisdom to be gleaned there.
And you would probably say the same about the Bible. There's like some true stuff and some not true stuff in the Bible.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of different perspectives. The Bible is a library, of course. It's not just a book you can read straight through like Harry Potter.
Although I've read it straight through like Harry Potter. So what would be like your tool? What do you use to determine which parts of these books are true and which parts are not?
Great question.
Well, I mean, some of the books are poetry, obviously. Some of them are written to be like real accounts. Others are allegory. So I think if you go to like Bible school, 101, they'll kind of tell you this is prophecy. These are poetries. These are, the
So he's giving a standard conservative Christian answer, but I don't think he means what the conservative means. Justin asked him, what's your litmus test, or what is your legend? What tool do you use to this? If you say, I believe the Bible says some things that are not true, how do you decide which parts are true and which parts are not? Mr. Biscuit's answer is, well, there's different styles there's different genres of literature in the Bible. There's poetry, there's history, there's this, there's that, there's that. But that still doesn't tell you which parts are true. That might tell you which parts might be figurative. It still won't tell you which parts are true. So I'd love to see how Justin helps him walk through that.
the Gospels and things to be written in those ways. So I try to take them as they're intended to be written. But then I believe St. Augustine said that God wrote two books, the book of creation, which would be the universe, and the book of Revelation, which would be the Bible, and each one should interpret the other. So I look at the world that I live in, and I interpret the Bible by that, and I look at the Bible and interpret the world. It's kind of a codification of my conscience and not a substitute for it.
He did not answer the question of how do you decide what's true and what's not if you believe it says things that are not true.
Cool. So the question still remains to be answered. How do you determine which parts of the Bible are true and which ones are not?
I mean, that would be up to historians and
Great.
biblical critics. Yeah.
Okay, so you're just comparing the Bible to reality, and you're saying, well, this part seems to match reality, therefore it's true.
Well, I'll give you a great example. Jesus with the woman caught in adultery. That story never happened, according to the majority of.
I agree. I'm just asking you for what your method is.
The experts, like I said, biblical critics, historians. Yeah.
Justin has got to be thinking, how do you get a handle? How do you get a hold of this? How do you get a hold of this? Michael Apple says Justin slow roasted him. Let's see.
Just like you, no difference.
Okay, and do you believe that the universe is created?
Of course.
Why?
If by the universe you mean space-time, because they're not fundamental. There's I think beyond the Planck scale, there's no operational meaning for space or time.
Do you think there was ever nothing?
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I agree. I don't think there was ever nothing. Okay, so do you believe then that there was some kind of something that was eternal alongside of the God character? What a lot of the Greeks believe, Plato believed that there were gods, but also that the universe had an eternal characteristic.
An eternal characteristic. I think I have to think about that for a little while. I'm not sure.
Or the Babylonians didn't believe in creation ex nihilo. They believed in a primordial existence prior to creation.
Well, I think what's difficult about saying nothing is that what's fundamental may not be a thing. There's a book by Ian McGilchrist called The Matter with Things, right? It's we think in terms of things which are bound within space and within time, but what's fundamental may not be in that categorization, but it still is not nothing.
I agree. Yeah. If it's not nothing, then it's clearly something. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Do you believe that there was ever a state where there was just nothing except for the God?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so you believe that the God created everything from nothing then?
Well, God created everything from himself. So God is fundamental, and out of God himself comes us. So scripture, for instance, says
God's immaterial, isn't he?
God is immaterial, correct.
Okay, so he created it out of nothing.
No, he created it out of himself.
What is himself made of if he's immaterial?
He's not made of... I believe that God is fundamentally awareness, pure subjectivity.
What is awareness? These words have no meaning in the way you're using them.
Awareness has no meaning?
No, the way you're using it. Yeah. If you're saying God is awareness, what does that even mean?
Me and Mr. Biscuit had a long conversation about this issue. Because I was trying to tell him he's using something that's almost adjectival, I'm, 'cause, 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 ' Awareness describes something that's possessed by something else. Awareness is not a thing in and of itself. And Mr. Biscuit is trying to make awareness itself a thing. Like awareness, and you may remember from the episodes that I did with him, the third episode I did with Mr. Biscuit, I alluded to this conversation where I was saying awareness is an abstraction, but you're treating the abstraction as if it's the noun, as if it's the thing itself. And Justin is right now trying to nail him down on, okay, what is the thing that is God? What is it? And Mr. Biscuit is saying it's awareness itself. And Justin's like, well, wait, that's an abstraction. That's a property possessed by something that is. If awareness is fundamental, what is possessing the awareness? And Mr. Biscuit, I think, is going to struggle to try to put legs and feet, material, to this immaterial property that he's calling awareness. I cannot wait to see how this goes.
The pure subjectivity without
What does
an
it mean?
object distinction. I mean, if you ask me what it means, I'm just going to have to use different words.
Yeah, I
do you
know.
understand?
Yeah, that's why I asked you. What does
Well,
that mean? What does it mean to be pure subjectivity?
Have you heard of idealism as a reduction base in metaphysics? Like there's
No,
materialism,
no,
there's
no.
idealism,
We
there's
mostly
panpsychism.
clown on Phil Bros here. We don't tolerate them.
You don't tolerate idealism.
No. We don't tolerate people that think using like Phil Bro jargon really fast is a good method for argumentation. Like we actually make you use real people words here.
Real people words.
Yeah.
idealism-
So let me explain it to you real quick. Like so
I know where this is going because I've seen Justin have this conversation with quite a few people. I don't even know if I know Mr. Biscuit can handle himself. He's a grown man. So I shouldn't feel like, oh, I don't want to see what's about to happen. But I've seen Justin have this conversation with people before when it gets into the Philbro language. So let's see how this goes.
I went to school before I went to Bible College in San Maria. I went to school for engineering. I have a whole vocabulary full of electrical engineering words, but you know what I don't do? I never go into a crowd of just normal people and start talking electrical engineering terms because not only is it rude, it's stupid. So I make a point that when Philbros come into this space, they use normal people words. If your grandmother doesn't know what you're saying, neither does most of the audience. So if you want to actually get your point across, I like super highly recommend that you stop trying to sound smart by using philosophy words.
I mean, I think saying that my agenda is to sound smart is.
I didn't say anything about your agenda.
Cooperation. I don't have that agenda. I don't want to sound smart. What I'm saying is what idealism is. Idealism is a metaphysical position that says that what is fundamental is not material but is mental, right? So that everything.
Can you demonstrate that there's a mental outside of the material brain?
Reduction bases in metaphysics are not demonstratable. It's not physics.
Okay,
it's
then you've not used words appropriately then. If you're saying that mental is fundamental, but the only thing we know about mental things is that they're derived from a brain, then you're just talking gibberish.
Like I said, awareness is a property that is possessed by something else. You can't take this abstraction of awareness and make it a standalone feature. And that's what Justin is just trying to help him understand here.
Well, no. Can you demonstrate that consciousness is derived from brains? That's, I mean,
have you ever witnessed consciousness not inside of a brain?
Consciousness is not something we witness. Brains is something.
Yeah, no, we literally witnessed it. We witnessed it happening, and it turns out we've never experienced consciousness anywhere but from a brain.
I think that's a correlation causation fallacy. You're saying that because they're correlated, that there's a causal pattern. But what you're seeing is about 112.
No, there is a causal pattern. There's a causal pattern because we can actually do experiments on the brain and tinker. We can tinker with the actual personality or the spirit or whatever you want to call it. We can modify it. We can modify someone's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. We can even split personalities. When they started doing split brain experiments, Roger.
This is going to be good because this is the same conversation that I had with Mr. Biscuit offline, and Justin is walking him through that same. So Mr. Biscuit has a response for this. I'm like a kid in the candy store here.
Sperry was one of the first to do it. people developed two different competing personalities. Like they were
Mhm.
competing against each other. They disagreed with each other, which
Sure.
just means that personality is a derivative of the brain. Our awareness comes from the brain. To say otherwise, you would need some sort of evidence that pointed to awareness outside of a brain.
I mean, awareness outside or inside presumes a priority in space. Like you're using spatial terms as if you take space very seriously, and that's good. I just don't take it literally. I take it seriously too. I think space is very serious and time is very serious, and we live in space and time. But when you say you have to show that this is inside or outside, it just shows that you're taking space a little bit too literally.
No.
Space and time are data
Have you-
compression tools for
Have you
human beings.
ever observed consciousness derived from anything but a brain?
No one observes consciousness.
Yes,
we
you're
observe,
doing it right now. Yeah, you're
observe-
talking to a conscious being, and I'm talking to a conscious being. We're both talking to conscious beings, and as it turns out, both of us appear to have brains.
we appear to have brains.
I mean,
because
I'm assuming you do. Do you have a brain?
well, I mean, I think if you cracked my skull open, you would see a brain.
Okay, so you do have a brain, right? Yeah. Is it true that like when if we scooped out your entire brain from your brain cavity, would you still be talking to me?
I would stop showing signs of consciousness.
Would you?
But
Yeah, you wouldn't be having a conscious experience, would you? Yeah, because consciousness, this
I said
crazy thing,
I said I would stop showing
consciousness
signs of
seems to be a derivative of the brain. Because if we remove the brain, consciousness no longer exists.
Great, and that's a perfectly fine thing to assume. I'll give you a correlate here. If I were to snuff out a fire, a campfire, if I were to throw water on it, snuff it out, I have removed the signs of combustion, right? Like if I touch a doorknob after running my feet across the carpet and I get a little shock, I've removed the signs of electrostatic discharge. But just because I've removed the signs of something,
you will remember Mr. Biscuit tried to use this same argumentation when he was talking to me. Let's see how this goes.
Doesn't mean I remove that thing. Electrostatic pressure can exist without lightning, right? Combustion can exist without fire. And I believe consciousness can exist without brains. Just because brains are what consciousness looks like when it's localized in a human doesn't mean that you have embodied and encapsulated.
So he just said that's what it looks like when it's localized in a human. So he too just did the thing that he accused Justin of, which is talking about consciousness as if it has a spatial component. Consciousness localized in a brain, localized in a human.
The entirety of consciousness.
Then give me an example of consciousness existing without a brain.
I mean, the closest thing that I can do is in terms of if you want evidence for this,
you can't do it. I really want to hear what he's going to say.
Would be high dose psychedelics. Do you mess around with the psychedelics?
Not without a brain, you don't.
No, I do not do drugs. The only drugs I do are the electric lettuce.
Well, you're missing out.
The electric lettuce and like some Kraken. That being said, there's been lots of
he said Kraken, which is a drink, not crack.
experiments done on like DMT and various other substances and how people feel like they're having out-of-body experiences. But in all of the laboratory settings where we've done the experiments, nobody can validate like an out-of-body experience. They think they are. They really believe they're having out-of-body experiences, but for some reason they just can never validate it.
All that stuff is cool. And I mean, the what people say and things like that interests me a little bit less than what's happening on electroencephalograms, right? So, and that's just an EEG machine since we're going into this. When people do high dose psychedelics, when you have like what's called the heroic dose, which is a lot of mushrooms, right? You go into this state where the default mode network shuts down in the brain. The task-centric network shuts down. Brain metabolism slows to a crawl, right? You are physiologically the closest to brain dead that you can be in a safe and repeatable situation. And yet, this is the most colorful, vibrant experience that people report having. They say that it's akin to the birth of their first child or like the death of a loved one, how powerful this experience is.
Yeah,
even though the brain doesn't seem to be doing much. So is that evidence?
No,
that
the brain is doing much.
Yeah.
Well, this is the closest neurophysiologically we can get to actually brain death. Your brain is hardly doing anything.
No. When you're giving DMT, your brain is not near death.
I'm not talking about DMT. I'm talking about high dose psychedelics.
Is DMT not part of the psychedelic family?
A high dose, the heroic dose, mushrooms specifically.
Okay,
this
so
study was done in
Cybesilin.
Yeah. This study was done in 2012 and continues to be done by the likes of
Okay, so
Michael
when you
Pollan.
take Cybesilin, you're saying brain activity is lowered.
Right. Yeah. The default mode network task centric. Now, this is the reason that people say that they get the agent arena collapse, where they feel like they're one with the room. Like they can't tell that, the distinction between themselves and the room that they're in. It's this crazy, mode of being.
That happens on many different drugs, psychedelic drugs for sure. But there's the part of the brain that is responsible for helping you differentiate between the self and other. And if you can disrupt the synapses in that part of the brain, you no longer can differentiate between you and the other. And you feel like you're becoming one with everything. That's what he's talking about there.
But I mean, look, that's not proof that consciousness doesn't emerge from brains.
Actually,
look, I mean,
like
if you're
I'm just Googling the weird stuff you're saying, and it doesn't say what you're.
That's see me. Maybe I'm too nice a guy. I would have said that the interesting stuff you're saying. I wouldn't have said weird, but
You're saying, like, I'm looking at articles. It says that it causes chaotic brain activity, and the structured brain activity gets decreased.
I mean, sure. I mean, we could. I mean, I have Chat GPT in front of me. I mean, we don't want to do an inch worth of research, or be fighting on the internet.
I'm not on
Both of us
Chat
can prove our
GPT.
points
It's
that
an
way.
article from
I
nature.com
said
by
I
like
am.
15 different people, and it says Cybesilin desynchronizes the human brain.
What do you think that means?
I just told you. The structured activity, like the normal structured brain activity, decreases, and there's an increase in chaotic brain activity. Non-structured brain activity. Things that might cause you to go on a trip.
But all of this is brain activity. Just because you disrupt what's happening in that part of the brain doesn't mean the brain's not active. It's just not acting normally. So where you at one time you would have been able to differentiate between the self and the other. Now you no longer can, because that part of the brain is not functioning normally. That's still a brain state. I made this point, I think, on Facebook the other day. I was talking to one of my guys, the rap group that I was in, Cross Movement. There's a member, Cruz Cordero. He and I are still great friends, and a lot of love between us. For the first time, maybe in almost ever, he jumped in on one of my Facebook. No, he's done this before, but this was one of the most involved Facebook interactions that he and I have had. And he was trying to say to me that I had real experience. Well, I'm speaking as him now. He would say to me, Brady, I saw that you had a real experience with the gospel. It changed your life. The truth of the gospel produced the fruit that I saw in you. You had humility. You had love for your fellow man, da, 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 da. And I responded to him and I said, look, I'm not saying that real things didn't happen as a result of me hearing and believing the gospel, but all of those real things were brain states. The same brain states that I could arrive at if I had been told a different story. Now, granted, the story of the gospel is probably one of the most powerful stories that you're hearing, because it's telling you why you exist. It's telling you what happens when you die. It's telling you about some metaphysical thing called sin. It's telling you about a divine creator. It's a powerful story. But then I dreamt up this other story and wrote this whole story on Facebook and said, this story would cause someone to react in these kinds of ways. And even if the story wasn't true, it would change the way that the person behaves. Why? Because these are brain states. A story can cause you to change the way that you interact with the world. They're brain states. It doesn't mean that anything is necessarily true about reality or anything changed about reality. The change happened in here. Similarly, what Mr. Biscuit is talking about is changes happening in here that change the way that you experience the world. None of that means that there was some metaphysical change or points to some metaphysical reality.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd like, we can. I mean, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of
Yeah.
I'll prove you wrong,
So-
you prove me wrong on the internet.
So you haven't done much to demonstrate that consciousness can exist independent of a brain. And
But I don't think-
remember
but I-
all this we're doing all this because you described your God as like being pure awareness. And as far
Correct.
as I can tell, just to make a claim that your God is pure awareness is a useless claim to me, because as far as we know, awareness is derivative of like a conscious experience stemming from brain activity.
Yeah, but no one can prove that or show much evidence beyond.
Yeah,
112
yeah, we
neural
can.
correlates.
Yeah,
Can you give
until
me-
until
can
you
you give
can
me the name of some
demonstrate
scientists
awareness
who've
happening
demonstrated that?
outside of the brain, then saying that there's awareness outside of the brain is a useless thing to say.
So
Mr. Biscuit is saying, can you demonstrate that awareness only comes from brains? And Justin is saying the same thing that I said. Where else have we seen awareness, consciousness come from? Like, point to it somewhere else to make me think I'm wrong to think it only comes from brains. Now, maybe it does come from somewhere else, but we've only experienced it come from brains. So the burden of proof is not on Justin to prove that it only comes from brains. The burden of proof is on Mr. Biscuit to prove it can come from something or somewhere else.
So I'm aware, for instance, of your image. So are you saying your image is inside of my brain? It's a transjective relationship.
Hold on. I'm aware of your image. Does that mean that your image is inside of my brain? You know what's crazy? I'm just going to take you guys down the road that I was on. I was driving to North Jersey yesterday. And at some point, I was looking at the trees and the sky. And I actually thought something very similar to what Mr. Biscuit just said. I said, damn, that tree, from what I can tell, is way over there. But some kind of way, what's way over there is the tree's not in my head, but I'm seeing it in the image of the tree. Like, what's registering that tree that's way over there in here? And I actually thought about calling up Shannon Q and just having, because she's a pro at just breaking down what eyesight is, how eyesight happens, and connecting it to, people always try to make eyesight this phenomena that demands there be a God or something. But I didn't call her up, but I was sitting there thinking, like, so the things that I see around me, I'm registering them in here. And then I had to very slowly walk through what eyesight is. The fact that there are these reflections that are occurring, almost like a pond reflecting the clouds in the sky. There's this reflection that's happening, and the vision is being cast upon. And then it got me thinking, well, what's receiving the image that's being cast by these reflectors, these cones and rods, and what's receiving that image? And I had to think about what my brain is, what's registering this image. And it really did get me thinking for a while, like, damn, like, I could understand why people gravitate towards the idea of a soul, because wait, if there's no soul, you mean to tell me that the material, the matter in my skull is registering the images that I'm seeing and doing something with it, making sense of it? It's a trippy thing. And I wished I was high when I was thinking about it, because I felt like I would have thought a little harder about it. But I'm just saying that to say what Mr. Biscuit is saying right now, I understand why it makes someone say there must be more. But until you can demonstrate that more, all you're doing is guessing at what's going on. Y'all talk to me in the chat if you're like, man, Brady, you're taking that way too serious. It's not that deep. I think it is deep. I think it's something worth thinking about. Like, one of the questions I ask is, when I hurt, who feels my pain? Like, what feels my pain? Like, what is this entity that I'm calling me? I don't think we should just, because Christians always say this to atheists. So what are we, just a bag of molecules? Are we just a bag of atoms? Are we just a bag of cells and da 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 da? It's like, maybe that's a cheap you cheapen it by saying that way. So I don't want to just say, yeah, that's all we are, but maybe that is all we are, but maybe that's not this cheap thing that you're trying to make it. Maybe that's actually more impressive and more wonderful and more amazing than saying, oh, we're just a bag of atoms. Like, life is amazing without having to embrace the idea of souls or, inventing superstitions to explain it. And I agree, James. James said, yeah, chemical reactions are fucking awesome. Like, this is chemistry. This is chemistry, systems chemistry, systems biology, and it's awesome without having to invent a story to explain it to ourselves. All that to say, I give Mr. Biscuit some leeway to be as amazed as he is. I just think the meta narrative that he's telling himself to explain it is convoluted and it's a forced story on the nature of the situation that we find ourselves in.
Yes.
Transjective means
the photons that are bouncing off the screen into your eyeballs are creating an image. Yeah.
Right. And so you're saying my mind is inside my brain getting an image of something outside the brain that is somehow correct. So are you a realist?
Again, this is not a philosophy classroom. Like when you
I
use dumb
apologize.
terms like "Are you a realist?" "Are you an idealist?" Those are meaningless words to me.
I understand, and that's my fault. But
I appreciate how patient and even gracious Mr. Biscuit is doing, because he knows he's on somebody else's platform. He's going to respect the rules of Justin's house. Justin already told him, don't use those words here. Mr. Biscuit could have got offended. Like, what do you mean stupid words? Or what do you mean like this? People have thought long and hard, whether it be Hume or whether it be Kant or whoever it is. They've thought long and hard about how to put handles on these ideas. It's not stupid. It may take a little work to grasp it, but I appreciate that Mr. Biscuit didn't get immediately offended at that and just roll with the punch of, oh, my fault, let me say it a different way. I respect that respect. I just think that's a very considerate thing. It shows humility on Mr. Biscuit's part.
Look, when you say it's up to me to prove that
but that was your claim. Your claim is that your God is pure awareness, but he doesn't have a physical brain. Then I'm obviously going to press you on why would we want to believe, or why would we have reason to believe that there's awareness outside of brains? Why?
Okay. Let's try it this way. Do brains have a weight? Do they weigh something?
You put them on a scale, yeah.
Okay.
He did the same thing on Ichabod. Let's see how this goes. This might be the last thing we do, because I got to get ready to travel tomorrow, and we all can go watch this on our own. I'm probably going to watch it on my trip to New York, but this will be the last part we listen to.
Okay. Do they have a texture?
I mean, yeah, we can touch them.
You can touch them, yeah. Would they taste like something if you were to eat like monkey brains out in Africa somewhere?
I could only assume brains have flavor.
They probably have flavor, right? You assume they smell like something. Maybe they're red and pink, so they look like something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and these are how we interact with the world, our five senses. Yeah.
There you go. Now, are any of those senses outside of the mind?
No, all of those senses are processing information that's being received and transmitted to the mind. Okay, without a mind, you don't get to experience senses.
I'm writing this down here just to kind of show you, right? The brain is colorful. We said colorful. We said the brain has weight. I'm going to write that down.
No, saying the brain is colorful, I don't think is the right way you want to phrase that.
I mean, that has a weight, it has a texture, it has a smell, and it has a taste if you were to dare to taste it, right? What the scientific community is telling us is that everything we just mentioned is only in the mind. So color occurs, for instance, I have a plant on my desk, a green plant. Greenness is not out there in the world. Greenness occurs as a relationship with photons with my eyes. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, our brain is processing the information from the world around us. Same thing like a camera. A camera can process the information from the photon the same way our brain does.
Sure. And so what you're saying is that this colorful texture-filled, smell-filled, taste-filled thing.
What I'm saying is that
is
all the
somehow occurring
qualia
out
that
there in
you're
the world.
trying to describe right now happens in our brain.
But the brain is something that requires qualia to exist.
No, the
how-
brain doesn't require qualia. The brain produces what we describe as qualia.
But so are you saying that the brain like makes its own color and its own texture and its own smell, and it just somehow does that?
No,
Because
it
what's not-
interprets the environment in a way that we call texture and we call smell. These are descriptions of how the brain is interpreting the environment.
So if we're talking about reality, right? Reality is silent. The universe is silent. There's no actual sound. This is the first thing that you learn in acoustic phonetic.
I didn't like when he brought this point up on Ichabod, and I wish I had dealt with it better. I'd love to see how Justin deals with it. I think I dealt with it okay. Let me see how Justin deals with this.
There's a sound wave that approaches your ear. Your eardrum vibrates. The cochlea translates that vibration to electrical signals in the brain, and then the mind produces sound. But
Yes,
the universe,
I'm aware.
The universe, okay, good. So the universe is really silent.
The universe in a vacuum is silent.
That's the point that I didn't mention that I wish I had brought up. In a vacuum, it's silent. But one of the things I tried to say to Mr. Biscuit is it's not like signal is not being sent, but in a vacuum, that signal has nothing to travel on. So I wasn't sure, like, there was so much that I wish I would have said, but I'm glad Justin brought that up.
Planet that we live on produces sound waves. Anytime like you have an atmosphere that moves, and you have something that can pick up on that movement, we call that a sound wave.
Well, it's only called a sound wave because sound tends to occur when ears are around, but it's really a
yeah,
wave.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree. It's a wave. Yeah. And
okay.
And still none of this demonstrates that you can have a mind without an actual brain.
Well, hear me out. What I'm saying is you can't have a brain. Like if I showed you a brain, do you think it would have any of the attributes we just gave to the word brain without a mind? Pinkness, redness, weight, texture,
you
smell,
keep talking
taste?
about the mind as though it's different from the brain. The mind is the part of the brain. Like it's what the brain does. The brain is producing minds.
Wait a second. Can you smell my mind?
Can you smell the color blue?
No.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're just making category errors now. Can you hear? Can you hear the number two? No, you can't.
Bro,
you're just using category errors now.
No, I'm saying the mind doesn't have anything we just attributed to the brain. So how could you say the mind is the brain?
Because the mind is the brain. The mind and the brain are the same thing. Your mind is inside of your brain. Again, until you can demonstrate that there's...
All right, I've had enough. This is the madness, y'all. And it's interesting because Lamont in the chat just told me about this when I got on. I didn't even plan on being on this long. I didn't even know that Justin, that Mr. Biscuit called into Justin's show. But this is a perfect example of what I was saying at the beginning. It's superstition. It's God of the gaps. Neil deGrasse Tyson just did an episode about alien of the gaps. Whenever we get to the end of our knowledge, I love this. Can I play the clip? I can't play the clip, but Neil deGrasse Tyson says, you see something in the sky and you don't know what it is. And so you say, therefore, I know what it is. It's an alien. Like, no, you don't know what it is. Why call it something if you don't know what it is? You already answered the question. What is it? I don't know. To go any further and say, therefore, it must be this, that's God of the gaps. It's alien of the gaps. It's mysticism of the gaps. That's what Christianity is. That's what ideal. Like, we're trying to fill in the gaps, and I can't fault anyone for wanting answers, and I can't fault you for having hypotheses. Maybe this is what's going on. Maybe this is how the world. But to say, no, this is what it is. You don't know that, and you can't demonstrate that. Where your knowledge runs out, you ought to speak much less robustly, much more humbly. Not to say that Mr. Biscuit is not humble, but to put your ideas forth and not be willing to say just flat out, I can't demonstrate that. And so I don't have any real reason to hold this view, but I like to think this is how things are. And I hope this pans out. That's the best someone in Mr. Biscuit's position, I think, can say. Otherwise, once you start treating your hypothesis as if it's real without having the proof for it, you sort of are dealing in superstition at that point. And then if you go further to codify it, then you've got religion. And exit strategy, what this show is about, is helping people realize that you don't need to live that way. There's a much more honest, humble, much less anxiety-prone way to live. And that's what the deconstructed, deconverted person knows and enjoys. So what do y'all think about I'm going to go and watch the rest of that because I'm sure it gets better. I know how Justin does his thing. But yeah, I want to give a shout out to all the folks who have been supporting. Thank you guys. If you're a Patreon supporter, I'll be back next Thursday with Exit Strategy. Me, Jamar from Drugs Art Gallery, and his Christian friend. So it's going to be me and Jamar talking to his Christian friend. We'll be doing conversations with Christians. Next Monday and Tuesday, I'll be out on the road with Thurgood, kicking it, helping to celebrate his birthday. Throw a happy birthday in the chat or in the comments out to Thurgood. His birthday is next Tuesday. And this is my last traveling for the summer. I'm hitting up upstate New York tomorrow and then Houston on Sunday. And then I'll be back to put 2 feet on the earth. So, all right, y'all, go ahead and have a great night. Thanks for coming through. Love you guys. I'll get with you soon. Peace.